All right, happy Monday, everybody. As I'm recording this, so what's the deal with this? This is something new I'm trying. I need to put a lot of work in on some stuff that I'm super behind on, and for me, it's easy to put things off. I'm a terrible procrastinator of stuff. So I thought what might be fun and helpful to me is if I could work on stuff while we chat. It gives me a reason to kind of be on point somewhat. And if folks want to help me work on what I'm working on, that'd be great. Or if you have your own questions or anything you want to talk about while we do this stuff, that'd be great. But I thought either way, get stuff done. So there's no I'm not going over any particular material, though I'm going to be using some material, which we'll see as I'm going back and forth. Then we'll just see how it works. And if it seems to be reasonably effective, I think I'm going to probably do this maybe for a few more streams this week, if not all week. See how much I can get done because I got a bunch of stuff I got to do. What's going on, folks in the chat? Hey, everybody. Laura, howdy. Frederick says that they already chewed out one overachiever on Reddit for posting a complete campaign before the 1st of February. Hey, look, if they could do it, more power to them. I would. I question that a bit. But hey, if folks can get things written down super fast, that is great. Grister says, does that mean we should be working too? I suppose if you want to. If you want to just like I said, just chat and hang out. What you might be looking at here, I guess not might be what you are. Hey, Catherine, what you're looking at here is this is a map. I apologize. One of the folks in the community actually made this from me from my hand-drawn map, turned it into a map. I believe this is using Worldographer. And what I've done now, their map was nice and neat. Just had the hexes and the graphics. It didn't have these horrible-looking overlays that I put on top. But these overlays are to help me because one of the things I'm wanting to do is break down. So this, okay, let me back up a bit. This area is, hey, Brian. This area is the area for my hex crawl adventure. And the party would start off at where we have 10 here, where I'm hovering my mouse over. And then the goal will be to escort somebody over here to number 51. Or as they always read, finish it in the Mortal Kombat finishing voice. As well you should. Catherine said that she felt like she was overachieving before they hit the COVID-induced brick wall, grab their notebook and play along. Yeah, no, I mean, all these things, you start off fast and full of vim and vinegar, and then that stuff kind of wears away. I've been bogged down in kind of mechanical stuff, and I need to kind of shake loose and put the kind of, and if you follow some of the devlog stuff I posted, I kind of got settled, and then I started to second guess myself, and I figured, okay, I need to do this stuff anyway on the actual, get stuff actually on the map anyhow. So for the moment, I'm thinking, let me put the mechanic stuff aside. I feel like if I kept it the way it is, it should be okay. It's just me thinking and probably thinking too much. And I need to start getting stuff on the actual map. Frederick says that this Project 23 stuff is now delved into them writing up their own set of rules. And that's kind of where I am. And that's kind of the other part is I'm thinking about taking some of the rules I'd made for, and again, some of that's on the devlogs, and then just making kind of a system out of it. And that was prompted by, of course, the whole OGL thing, which is now sort of gone away. But then I'm kind of thinking maybe just do it. Maybe just have my own set. And if people want to use it, they can. Not they can. But then I can kind of use it. And it's just kind of, it's mine. It was kind of what I was thinking. So yeah, I think a lot of us are in this make my own RPG 23. And then it's kind of how far down that rabbit hole do I go? So I've been kind of bogged. That's why I haven't sort of posted much, because I've been sort of bogged around and stuff where I hadn't gotten to a resolution of like, yes, here's the thing I want to talk about. It's more me fiddling with the numbers on any dice, sitting in my head thinking about what would a combat look like in this? What would this other thing kind of look like in this? What am I trying to do? Then, is it worthwhile? So it's been great. But I actually have stuff I need to do, and that has not been conducive to need to. And then I realize I can get stuff on the map, and I don't need to worry about the mechanics because I can insert the mechanics later. So I'm saying, you know what? For now, mechanics to the side, Let's have a sip of a new Spindrift flavor. This one is mint green tea Spindrift that we just found. I don't know if it's new or we just in our area, but it's actually quite good. All right. So getting back to what I was saying, party starts here. They're trying to get them and a person over here. There is a road. You can see this dashed line. Of course, given that this is a hex crawl adventure, I'm not going to say they can't use the road. But a part of my imaginings is that, well, there are a couple of considerations. One, there will be reasons whether they listen to them or not. It's totally fine if they stick on the road. But there are certain things that will happen. There are certain consequences for taking the road, the easy way. Of course, if they're going to take the hard way, they're going to have to navigate around, hence the hex crawl, which I'm hoping some groups will do. But who's to say? It's not for me to judge. Oh, Catherine says they're a Rambler girl. Oh, interesting. I don't know Rambler. I don't know if they have Rambler here. Is that a these are these kind of slightly real fruit sort of spritzers? I mean, there's tons of different ones, but Spindrifts are kind of the popular ones in these parts. And I'm in Brooklyn. I'll have to check out Rambler. I don't think I've seen that around me in any case. But this one's almost done, and then I'll be on to water in my PAX Unplugged mug. So we got this kind of simplish A to B situation, but potentially the party's going to be wandering. And then the other idea is that they could use this as some kind of use this as a play area for future adventures. So they would go through this adventure, and then they would have this area that they could then use for more stuff if they wanted to. So I do want to, even though the main adventure might only cover a third of this area, I want to have at least some idea of the stuff kind of everywhere. Things that can be discovered, things that enterprising GMs who pick up this adventure could take and say, ooh, after they're done with this, or instead of this, I want to mess around with this thing. So that's kind of the impetus. Terrence says tap water. Yeah, well, I mean, that's in my PAX mug is tap water. New York City water is pretty good. So tap water is Catherine comments that pamplemousse, which is grapefruit in French, is too good a word to mean grapefruit. Yeah, it's a nice one. Okay, so if you might notice I've done two things here. So I scrawled, and this was just using the tools here in Ouija, so the numbers are not particularly neat. These other things in blue dashed lines, I'm doing region borders. And so these are roughly, and I might change these a little bit. I think specifically I might make this area around one border instead of two. The concept is that we can sort of bake in some stuff on a region level and then have stuff on a local level. A local level would be one hex. A region might be a number of hexes. So what we can do is we can say in this region, there are certain things that are characteristic of the whole region. And that way, when I'm dealing with individual hexes, instead of having to repeat all the same information or repeat similar, I can have, here's the region. So for example, for these hills, there's certain things that are true of every hex that's part of these hills. Probably these also. This chain. And then, so then for each individual hex, it's like, okay, I know what the overall region is, so I'm just going to worry about the characteristic stuff. I think today, what I'm probably going to do is just start placing stuff in particular. So I want to have, I should probably write some notes. So sort of my to-dos. Can I move this out of the way? Are you going to let me? All right. Yes. My to-dos. Or would it be to-dos? Whatever. Is I want to create landmarks for each hex, create secrets for each hex, and then one or more clues for each hex. This is going to be kind of my to-dos for now, and we'll see how far we get through. Landmark, it's something that's more obvious. It's sort of if someone were to enter an area and say, what makes this 30 miles what separates it from another 30 miles. You might say, oh, it's got this particular hill, or oh, there's a giant oak tree, or oh, there's a pond or a little lake, or oh, it's always covered in purple clouds. Whatever it is, that's kind of the thing that you can, if you imagine you're somewhere in these woods here and the woodsman, and you run into some local from the woods and they say, like, how do we get to some other thing? They might say, go until you find the huge oak tree and that's shaped like this, or the massive trunk or whatever, and then take a left. And then, okay, so if you can find that landmark, that's kind of your direction setter there. It's a landmark. I think that's kind of what landmark means. Oh, Nightbot. Sorry, Big Bad RPG. Nightbot has little patience for our missteps, or even sometimes our non-missteps. Frederick asked if I tried the crossword puzzles dungeon thing. I saw that. At least I saw a couple of versions of it. It seems like fun. I haven't tried it yet, though. Laura says their artistic creativity has been a haul due to health, but they need to create. Well, hopefully you're feeling better. Well, hopefully your health improves, however that might be, and then you can get back to it. I just find that I just get sidetracked by any number of stuff. So I need to do this list. Oh, yeah. Maybe a list. Is a list the best thing to do? Well, I suppose. We move this to the side. Move this down. We're going to add. I like to set the. All right. So we're going to call this. We'll just do. So. Oh, here I have all the names of stuff. So this river I call the Goldenroth. These are the Red Shelf Hills. The Beowulf is over here. The Hartswold is down here. Actually, the Beowulf, there's these two parts. The road runs through it. Hartswold is down here. The Old Sump is this swampy bit in the middle. Shepton is the town here. And then Munkirk Abbey is up here. Just so we get all that going. Big Bad RPG asks, have I ever used Hexed, or what do I use for mapping? I have used Hexed. Hexed is fine. Hexed, I guess I don't know if I haven't checked it in a while in terms of how it scales, but I find Hexed is nice for kind of smaller areas of maps. I know there's tons of custom tile sets for Hexed, which I have a few from kind of way back when Hexed first came out. I haven't looked at other ones. The other problem is, since I'm going to be publishing this in some form, I need something that I can use commercially. And a lot of the ones for Hexed that I've seen, and maybe there's ones I haven't, it's probably tons I haven't seen, or just the ones I like, oh, this would be nice. I thought, like, oh, okay, it's not available and whatever. I tend to favor, for just when I'm doing stuff for my own game, I don't need the high artistry of Hexed. And so I think Worldographer, which scales a lot better and has those different views you can use and has all those notes and everything, even though the UI I think could use some improvement, I feel like Worldographer just has everything that I would need from a mapping application. And just in terms of, I can put notes in, I can all this stuff. Hexed's very good though. And I like it when I want to give something a more unique, artsy look. And then there's, of course, there's like this, there's Wonderdraft, and which I own too. I've bought a few of these. But I think I tend to default to Worldographer. Because I just like the Worldographer. You can go from essentially a whole world down to a localized area within one application. I don't think you can do that in Hexed. I think it will kind of fall apart if you try to go huge with it. But I like some of I think, again, for the artistry value, a lot of stuff you can do in Hexed with like layering of things and the kind of position, like that stuff's really cool, and I like it. Some of that's just a different approach, say for a river in Hexed, where they have these fixed things you're laying in there, so they get to be kind of artsy. But you can look at it as great or annoying that you have to sit there and position each tile of river and rotate it around to get what you want. Whereas with Worldographer, you're using kind of vector tools to draw your rivers, but they're not as pretty, I guess. And they can have their own issues during the scale when you're scaling up and down and other things. Big Bad RPG. Okay, you're new. Well, the first thing I'd say, Big Bad RPG, is whatever you've invested in, you can use. If you've got Hexed, you can use Hexed for certain. There are online tools that are free if you're looking to get one. Worldographer is not free. I don't know if there's a demo or anything. There's Hex Describe. There's I think if you go on a Reddit and I think a search for hex map, there's got to be a whole bunch of list of resources there. They're all good. They all do things a little bit differently, like Wonder Draft also. They all do things a little bit differently. They all have their kind of their pluses and minuses. You want to kind of, to the extent that you can test drive them, you want to test drive them because you'll see this does something the way I like it, or, oh, I don't like the way this does it. And then maybe you'll find another one. Oh, this perfectly matches my particular workflow. You're new, so you might not have a workflow, but you'll kind of get a feel for what you like. Worldographer is probably the most full-featured, deep one, but it's a little bit clunky, and the UI is a little bit, but if you can kind of get over that, I think in terms of being able to have all your maps in kind of one application and have different levels of zoom, essentially from looking at it from a world level down to a local level. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think there's another mapping application that does that, but you may not need that. And if you don't, then maybe something like Hexed, which maybe fires up your imagination a little bit more, is a bit prettier. Though their UI I find is a little bit clunky too, just in a different way. There's that. Brian Smith talks about the 3 hex. Yeah, Big Bad RPG, I have a whole Hex Crawling 101 series of videos, and there's at least, I don't know if it was part of that series or not, but I did a thing on some of the kind of starter, how to get started with hex maps and hex. And Brian Smith knows there was kind of the 3 hex setup. There's the stuff that was with Gygax 75 and all that stuff I did on the channel to kind of with some of the, but that helper video, I forget where it is, that stream we did where we went over some of the helper stuff from like Chicago Wiz and Welsh Piper, I think, had something, and then there was just a lot of stuff. Ryan Smith says so many options and even more opinions on what is best. Yeah. Yep, that is true. I'm going to start putting in hexes here. So we got, I'm going to call this the Gold Valley. That's 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we got 1. And let's see. So I'm gonna do this in real shorthand. So I need a landmark. I need secrets. Or sorry, I need a secret, and then I need clues. The idea, the concept I'm working on here, and I don't have it totally. I have my. Okay, so the idea here is the landmark I just mentioned, something you can see not from space, but pretty much all locals that are at all familiar with the place are gonna be able to go, oh yeah, go over there. It's got the the hill that looks like an egg. Okay, so there are lots of hills in here, but there's one that presumably looks like an egg or something, or has a face on it, right? The old man hill. It's got this cliffside, looks like an old man's face. Great, that's the landmark. The secret would be something, could be a lair, could be some other location, could be a dungeon location, could be anything that is really not known for the most part. It's if hidden away or obscure, if not purposefully, then just by nature of age, history, the changing of the world, whatever. It is not something that most people know about that. And again, it could be purposefully, it could just be through forces of time and nature. And then the concept for the clues is that as a party is in here searching around for stuff, they can find clues, and the clues will sort of point them towards the secret in some way. So for example, let's say the secret is an overgrown temple or temple complex, like one of those Mayan cities, that's sort of, or big pyramid, but it's so overgrown in the jungle that you barely know it's there, even if you're standing on it. But certainly if you're not, okay, so that would be the secret. Then the clues might be that you find what would look like a dry riverbed, but it's very regular. So maybe it's a canal, and then of course the party might follow the canal back and then get to something else. And you could have a number of clues. I say 1 or more because I don't want to put pressure to have, you must have 3, though 3 is kind of nice. But the idea is you find the clue. The clue can either like that, like if you follow the canal the right way, you're going to follow it to the to this, you'll end up maybe closer to the temple complex, and maybe then there's something else you find, or something of that nature, where it sort of it can potentially, just by its own nature, it'll guide you. Like a canal is kind of like a road. If you follow it, you're going to get there. Or it could be something else, like, oh, there's a campsite, and then if you dig around the campsite, you mess around with the campsite, then maybe the camp another clue. Hey Zach, thanks for the sub. Could highlight another clue, and so you can potentially, with one or more of these clues, get to the secret. So it's a way of basically, in a sense, it's rewarding the players for failing to find the secret. If they come in here and the party goes, ooh, we haven't found this thing, but we think there's this temple complex. We heard legends, and we think this is the place because it said that it was within half a day's walk of the cliff that looks like an old man's face. We found the cliff with the old man's face, but we don't know which way to go or something else. Maybe they'll roll around. All right, let's try to find it. And say, okay, we're going to roll some dice, and they don't make it, but they are not far off. Oh, here's this clue. You find, an old explorer's campsite, and buried in the ground, you find a tin can, and inside the tin can rolled up is a fragment of a map fragment. And that map fragment might lead you to something else, or gives you another clue, or whatever. You can see, hopefully I'm making clear kind of the things that you could possibly be seeing. Right? Wrong? Hey, Ian. Let's see. Bullet catcher, multiple clues is simple to find. I'd hate to have some great point of interest to where I overthought it and my players missed it. Yeah, I think that's kind of it, right? You've got something you want. This is, from a meta level, you might want the players to find it. They don't find it. They find the clue instead. And I think maybe that I'm hoping, I don't know, I haven't used this myself in my game yet. I'm hoping that it will inspire that, hey, you find something, which means don't give up hope. It's just not, oh, you came up empty, but it's like, oh no, you found this other thing, and then spurs you on. But I don't want to make it heavy. The idea with the clues is not to be something super heavy. The clue, the idea of the clue is like something I can write in a sentence, like old camp, and then maybe some other little note. Certainly I haven't even written one of these yet. But certainly the concept would be that you could bottom line it in a quick couple of words, and then maybe make a little note. And then as a GM, you're reading that, and that'll just give you what you need to know. Okay, explorers, campsite, maybe something else. And if I want, you could write up a more elaborate a scene as you wish, or I'm hoping that you could write it just simply abandoned campsite. Maybe you can put parenthetically, buried tin can has thing to lead to, whatever, right? But yeah, I think it's the kind of concepts kind of get folks learning. And if they get all the clues, theoretically, they should be able to get. And you could probably just say, okay, with all this put together, now where the city is or whatever you're looking for. You can kind of figure out how you want the clues to work mechanically if you find them all. Because I would be happy at that point to say you don't need to roll anymore. You found this stuff and it leads you. Or if you want to role play it out, you can do that too. Catherine asks on the Hex. Yeah, I'm doing 6. I'm sticking with good old 6. I've seen folks. I know most recently that I read. I know some people were extolling the virtues of the 1 mile hex. That's fine. You just have to adjust your populations. If I'm going to have 1 mile hexes, then I'm probably not going to have 1 landmark per 1 mile hex. Because it seems like a lot of work and a lot. Whereas if I was doing 32 mile hexes or 36 mile hexes, whatever the number would be, something like that, or so I think Chicago Wiz says they're doing like 20 mile hexes, then I might feel like I need to have more than 1 landmark per hex. So, but it's all what you're comfortable with. But yeah, I'm at 6 miles is what I'm figuring. Hey, Redcaps. Not that I miss anything big. Terrence says they get frustrated working on game mechanics and frustrated drawing, so they've settled for general world building notes. World building notes are good. We need those too. We need some of everything. All right. So, and then the other thing is I pulled up here. I've got the D30 Sandbox Companion and also the good old fashioned ready reference sheets. You can't. I'm not going to get into it, but the folks who own who currently control Judges Guild in terms of the stuff, they haven't been very nice, and so they've been sort of on the outs. I'm not sure where you can get these digitally anymore. They were on drive-through. They're gone now. I'm not sure there's anywhere you can get them. You may still be able to find them physically on eBay. I know I was able to get one physically on eBay a few years ago. They were fairly inexpensive. I don't know about now. D30 Sandbox Companion is available, also very good. It's better laid out. I mean, the Ready reference sheet is cool. It's from a different age. It's from back in, I think this is the late 70s they put this out, and it's kind of a compilation of stuff from a lot of their other products that they bundled together into one huge, or not say huge, the actual Ready reference sheet isn't that big, but maybe dense is the better word, dense resource. Redcaps says they like 24-mile hexes with 8-mile sub-hexes. There you go. Everyone's got their favorites. I'm pretty agnostic. I could see doing a bunch of stuff. I've found 6-mile hexes to work okay enough for me that I haven't felt the need to want to or felt the drive to change it. But when I read the 1-mile hex thing, I thought, oh man, yeah, there's some good points about 1-mile hexes. Maybe I could think about that. But then I also thought, oh, I don't know. Do I want? I'd have to just reconfigure myself a little bit. I'm fine with 6, but it's all good. I'm not worrying about sub-hexes at this point either. I'm just worrying about the main hexes. I don't need weather. So here we have some natural phenomena. These are also good for your kind of features. If you're looking for, and Ready References has a bunch of these too. Because remember, I'm just looking at what 6 miles or 30, I don't know, 30 each one. So a 6-mile hex, even though it's 6 miles to cross, actually encompasses 31 or 32, somewhere in there, 30-ish square miles of area. So even though you think, oh, it's only 6 miles to cross, it's not a small area if you're in terms of the entire density. So when you think about these grasslands, it's not just complete and utter grasslands. It could be. I mean, there are parts of the prairie, I think, where it could be 30 miles and there's nothing but there's one tree and that's it. Could be, but there could be clumps of trees, especially here on these borders. There could be some hilly terrain down here. You think that they're in these border areas. There's some overlap that it's not. Probably not some just line of here's the hill ends and the prairie begins. And then within there might be different features that aren't even in terms of hex level terrain overlapping, just stuff like a gully, a pond, a lake, because all that stuff is too small unless it's a big lake. So here we have a big swamp, so of course it shows up, but there could be a little lake in these hills, and it's the resolution is not detailed enough to see it. So that's where you can roll or just pick from some sub-hex features to put those in there and highlight them. So probably for one of these landmarks, maybe I'll have that there's a lake. Probably not here, though. Bullet Catcher says, how long does it take a party to search the full 6-mile hex? 1 day? I'm not sure, Bullet Catcher. Those are some things I haven't quite figured out yet. I haven't had to deal with my game because my party hasn't determined to just sit there and say, we're just searching the heck out of this thing. I would probably have some kind of determination based on the length. I mean, you could do it. We have 30-ish square miles. You could move 6 miles in this much. I mean, you could if they're gonna like grid march the whole thing. I don't know. I'd have to figure it out. I'd probably have to roll some. I'd probably want to have some determination would come down to some amount of dice that we're rolling, depending on how thorough they decide to be. But I don't have one number. It's a good question, though. I should come up with something. Catherine says that whole 3-mile horizon sightline thing makes 6 more interesting to me. Yeah, there are people have gone back and forth with the whole sightline thing. I don't know. But the other thing is, even if you can see that far on a clear day, you can see forever. Even if you can see that far, if you're in the middle of a woods, your sightline is not going to be that ever, almost. Unless you can climb up like Bilbo in The Hobbit and survey the forest. When you guys are your party's walking through the forest, they're not getting 6 miles or whatever 3 miles worth of sightline. Hills makes more sense, assuming that you aren't surrounded by other hills or you're in the valley part of the hills. Like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of variable that I feel like that they oversimplify when they're making these arguments. So they say, oh yeah, it's 3 miles. But it's like, okay, well, what terrain am I in where I can see 3 miles? If I'm in the swamp, I'm not getting a clear shot for 3 miles. There's whatever the mist, the fog, there's just trees and things. There's just, whatever. There's tall grasses. There's weird stuff. Like I can't see 3 or 6 miles. Grasslands, maybe probably my best bet if I don't get up into something. And then even hills or mountains, sometimes you're going to be walking in the hill, probably often, unless you're trying to literally climb over the hill, you're probably weaving through valleys, in which case, again, unless you make a significant effort to keep to the heights, you're not getting the benefit of whatever the distance site is. All right, I need 30 minutes and I have done nothing, but it's been good. I need to pick something. Well, let me see. All right, we got aquifer, a butte, a cave, a crater lake, a dry lake, an escarpment, some heavy shrubs, a lava dome, mud pits. Some of these, I'm not even sure what they are. I'm over here. We do have this thing here, so maybe I'll have a dry lake bed. Sure. Now, what's the secret? Oh, and the other thing with some of these I'm going to have are going to pertain to the adventure, and some of them are going to be generic or not pertain to the adventure, just be there. I'm not going to get too bogged down yet. Let's see. Bullet Catcher says that they have a druid who wants to search for an old abandoned ruins. They want to make the exploration entertaining and not just say, poof, there you go. I think that's where having something like clues can help, Bullet Catcher, because you can have them find stuff, reward them for looking, but they can spend time. You can also work that in with encounters. If they find an old campsite, you know, if they find that, then someone else find it also. Who else is looking? What dangers might be there? You know, for example, so let's just say that, you know, Chester Copperpot is out there in these hills. Okay, so you're looking for the way in. You find Chester Copperpot's campsite, and you check it out, and you go, okay, great. And then you do some more searching. Okay, we know we're on the right path because Chester Copperpot was here. And someone goes, well, let's pick up Chester Copperpot's tracks and follow him on. All right, you pick up his tracks, but then it's confused with large bear-like tracks that come in. You find old blood spatters. Maybe you see half buried in the soil, a dented cooking pan, and then you see the a sort of a confusion of tracks heading off. And then maybe that leads you to a lair, which is not where Chester Copperpot was trying to go, or you were trying to catch up with him. But then maybe Chester Copperpot's corpse is in the lair. But of course, maybe there's a monster, an owl bear, something else in the lair as well. Or maybe they're outside somewhere and you have to can you dip into the lair and find stuff before they get back? However that works. And then, of course, if you find Chester Copperpot's corpse, then you get the necklace he was wearing that has the key on it, which then gets you into something you need, you know, so you can, and then maybe he also has the map fragment leading you again on the way. So you can kind of give these sort of clues type things all in the same hex, but they can give you a sense of just sort of discovery without just giving the whole thing away on one go. And also, I'll just open my window a little bit here. It's got super hot all of a sudden. And also adding some more decision points, some interesting situations. Okay, Jose asks, what is the random table you're using from AD&D? I don't have my AD&D book out. I could have gotten my DMG or something. The two books I have right now, where are they? Not AD&D. This is the ready reference sheets. This is just the table of contents. Not even, here we see tables. I actually should scroll down to the, this is actually, I believe, pre-AD&D, or at least pre-AD&D, maybe. The monster manual might have been out by now, but nope, 1977. So this predates the monster manual by a year, I think. I think the monster manual came out in 78 or 79. This is from Judges Guild. I can't say go get this one. I would say if you're looking for something, get the D30 Sandbox Kit. It's a lot more, the presentation is a lot more modern. It's actually available now, and you can get it without supporting folks who have turned out to not be very nice. I'm just going to put it like that. Ian says the sightline can vary by crazy amounts based on weather and height. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So I don't even worry about that too much. And then Redcaps says that, yeah, they worry less about the view distance and more about easy, rough handling travel time. They want their hex to be 1 hex per day travel under best case scenario, and sub hexes be easily broken into watches. Yeah, I kind of do the same thing, except I'm going more like a single hex, like a single road or plains hex would be I think I'm doing like 3-hour travel periods, 1 3-hour period, best case scenario, and everything else just kind of degrades from there. Okay, so we picked out the plains. Let's see, let's just say there's a ruins generator. I'm going to roll some dice. Or maybe let me see. What do we got? A hovel, a villa, a tower, an altar, a tomb, a crypt, a bunker. No hamlet here. A cottage. Oh, you know what? Here, I'm going to have a ruined. Yeah, we'll do a ruined. Okay, actually, I'm going to do this. Here, this will work. Actually, this will work pretty well. Why do I keep going here? Here we go. So there's the secret, just because it's been forgotten, is a ruined hamlet on the shore of the dry lake bed. And the clues will be some old fencing. There's a overgrown cart track. Oh, here we go. A small fishing skiff, abandoned fishing skiff. Okay. Let's see. Big Bad RPG asks if I've seen the Hexed generator from Atelier Clandestin on drive-thru. It's like $2 and more for really simple stuff. I have not. I'll have to check that out. Actually, thanks for the recommendation. I'll have to put that on my list. Hexed generator. Let me make a note of it. Why are you putting me on the map? Don't put me on the map. Stop doing that. Oh. There we go. Cool. All right. So here we've got our first landmark. Only took me 40 minutes. Dry lake bed is the landmark. That's something that's fairly obvious, folks around, particularly here in what did I call this place? Shepton, probably aware. There used to be a oh, you know what? I might put there's even another clue I could have, which is a dry stream bed. Right, there's a dry stream. So here we have the river, the Goldenroth. There used to be a thing here. It used to be a little river. And here's a little, this could be, now this is not going to be part of my adventure, but here we have something that could be a little adventure starter. Hey, there's a dry lake bed at the party that's going over there. Maybe the folks from Shepton, they're aware of it. Maybe some of them used to live there. Now it's abandoned. Questions are, why is it abandoned? Why was that little lake something, but now it's nothing? You know, what caused it to essentially dry up? Was it natural? Of course, we're playing a fantasy role-playing game, so maybe something fantastic happened. Is that thing still there? All that stuff. Maybe it's a place to explore. Maybe there's some good things there. We don't know. Maybe once they go in and they find the dry stream bed. Maybe they're following the river. They see the dry stream bed. So they go, they follow it up there. They get to the lake. Maybe the hamlet, it's kind of, maybe it's hidden or somewhat overgrown, but then if they kind of search around or walk around the little lake, they'll find some clues. So that's a good kind of thing. It's there. If it gets ignored, great, but it's something we've got, and we have some elements that we can play with when they get to that hex. Big Bad RPG asks, can you suggest ideas, or is this like backseating on Twitch? I don't know. You know what? I'm not familiar with backseating on Twitch. I'm happy to take suggestions. If there's something, please go right ahead. Did I hit something? I am certainly not above taking suggestions from folks. Redcaps says they started filling the backyard ice rink a couple hours ago. Going to take at least it's cold enough that you're gonna have ice. I mean, it's weird that I wish it was cold, but I do. So I'm in New York City, and it's been this weird thing where the low has been in either the high 30s or low 40s, and the high has been in the 50s. I feel like for the entire winter, and it kind of stinks. It's not warm enough to be, and you know, obviously I don't want it. Winter has purposes, and I want the winter, its purpose in the natural order things to be fulfilled. So that's number one. Number two, it's not warm enough to feel like, woo, it's like weirdly like it's fall and it's beautiful. No, it's not that. It's still a little bit kind of cold. Yesterday, we were walking around in Brooklyn, and it was free, and it was just a little bit too cold to just be super comfortable walking around. But then you don't have the fun stuff of being cold. Like there's no snow. There's no, I mean, my daughter went ice skating over the weekend at a birthday party, and that was fun. But just like it's too not warm enough, not cold enough. Catherine calls it endless coughing weather. Yeah, pretty much. Wednesday night, it's supposed to hit minus 30. Oosh. Oh, minus 30 centigrade. Yeesh. Average is minus 5. Yeah. Yeah, no, not down here. Terrence says it's just wet and miserable. Big Bad RPG says, thinking about the dry lake bed, maybe it was the home of some mud or clay peeper. If they link up the river, they can revive an entire lost society. All right, I'll put that in there. Idea. That's cool. I'm down with it. The only problem is, not that it's a problem, but the river's flowing. I think I have it flowing this way. So the lake was flowing to the river rather than the river flowing to the lake. But I still like that idea. How do you spell resuscitated? Did I get that right? I think I did. I'm not getting. No, I didn't. What did I get? How did I misspell it? Oh, SC. See, it shows me the spelling. It didn't let me fix it. If you're going to do that, let me fix it. It's like that. All right. That is one. I only need only 50 left to go. That's fine. I imagine I'm not going to get through much, but I think we'll continue this also tomorrow, and that way I will try not to just backtrack and re-explain everything, so that hopefully we can we can hit the ground running, maybe is the term I'm looking for. I actually meant to put space in there. And then what do we call this one? We call those clues. What did you do? What did I do? Okay. What's the landmarks? This is another in the, what do we call this? The Gold Valley. Let's see. What does Ready Reference Sheets have? I'm just going to switch between them. And one of the things also with the Ready Reference Sheets, as much as I love their stuff, it is just organized poorly. I have a hard time believing that it would have been called, or it would have been considered organized well at the time, because you have stuff that they'll just start down a path and then they'll just switch gears and you got to pick it up again. It's weird, and there's no explanations for anything, but they have lots of good stuff hidden in there. So you have, look at all these caves you can have. I mean, they give you caves for days, so you can have. I'm sure D30 pulled a lot of the stuff, and I'm not trying to throw shade at those folks, but I can't imagine that. I mean, I would too if I was building one of those. I definitely would come in here and grab a lot of this stuff and just try to reformat it, change the numbers maybe to make more sense, make it more friendly. But you know, all these different caves, are there entrances, all kinds of stuff. But I don't think I want a cave quite yet. Here they have their set of ruins. All kinds of great stuff. Terrence says they actually were thinking of those frogs that basically go into deep hibernation when it's too dry. Maybe the lake was originally drained to put a massive toad terror to sleep. Oh, interesting. Could be connected. I'll put that in there. A sleeping toad. I kind of like that. It would be this mixed, sort of a mixed thing. And maybe there's something welling underneath the surface that's been blocked, that there's some kind of cap has been put on a spring or something else that's keeping the lake down, but also keeping that monster. Okay, let's see. I wanted to get to. Wish I could use these. Hydrographic terrain. Yeah, you see, yeah, gosh, all this stuff here. So if you needed some keen sighting stuff, here's some sighting distances. I find those are too. I just don't need to get that granular. I think that's a thing if you're a newer GM, even as an experienced, or I don't know, I don't want to say. I feel like that's such a crap. As someone who's been doing this, playing and everything, you can have a tendency to want to get really granular, especially with stuff that you know about in the real world. Like I imagine if somebody was a navigator or something, they would have all these really on point views on what to do for things like sighting or things like that. But you get to a point of diminishing returns, I think, rather quickly. Of course, the crunchiness overall of your system notwithstanding, I feel like you're going to you're going to hit that point where and you might not see it because it's too close, but your players may feel. So I always feel like what's the minimum I can do or add or make mechanically that's going to get me the most bang for my buck. What am I'm looking for? Weeds. Yeah, I want some flowers. Where's my dice? All right. I need a D20. And this would be the landmark. So it'll be the thing that people again would kind of be known. All right, and then we can get into what the secret stuff is. I'm looking for a D20 for this table. I got an 18. So gladiolus. I'm going to assume that that's okay. I could probably change these flowers because I don't know much about flowers. So there's a field of gladiolus. I'll put flowers in there. Just remind myself, if I come back and look at this tomorrow or another day and I go, what the heck is a gladiolus? It's a flower. Catherine said they learned from the GURPS days that if you give some GMs enough tables, they'll feel compelled to use them. Yes, absolutely. Redcaps says that GMs can go way too simulationist on nerdy things that they like that maybe players won't care about and just makes them drowsy. Yes, I mean that's probably a better way of saying what I was trying to say. Yeah. And I think there is an art or skill to looking at going, oh yeah, I really like this thing, but I'm not going to put it in my game, even though I love it, because I know it's going to do things to my game that I don't necessarily want or need or have time for. So trying to figure out what it is you're trying to do. Oh, a magical place. Let's see. Maybe a circle. Oh, a circle of dreams. Circle of dreams. All right. I like it. Whoops. Put that other stuff parenthetically just so I have it. So we're going to have maybe this big field of gladiolus flowers, and then maybe in the center or somewhere in that field is this circle of dreams. So I'll have a standing stone as a clue. Maybe we'll do this, maybe some kind of, this will all be sort of Neolithic themed, maybe a stone offering, a big stone offering bowl, and then maybe an overgrown paved footpath. There you go. Now we got two. So this one has this field of gladiolus flowers. The secret is the circle of dreams, which is somewhere that if you sleep there, you can have some prophetic visions. And then we're going to have some standing stones and some other stuff that maybe because the flowers are big and whatever, and just the terrain, that's going to be the thing that people know, but they've never delved or they, it's something that you maybe if you're passing by the river, and I didn't have this road, but this road would probably follow the river. Maybe it's on the far side of the river. It's something you see often. It's pretty, but you don't necessarily go near it. And maybe because of terrain, you don't necessarily see the standing stone. Hence, it's not obvious. And the standing stone is not the landmark, but it's more this beautiful broad field of flowers. And I don't know gladiolus, but maybe they've got bright blossoms or something like when you see blue bonnets or some other kind of flowers, and there can be a big field of them, and they're very bright and colorful, and they kind of grab your attention. Ooh, the gladiolus, right? But hidden inside there is this thing, and then if you catch it from another angle, you'll find that there's this overgrown footpath, and the standing stone, the offering bowl, and then maybe there's something else going on here. And there might be, we could talk about, or you could riff with the standing stone having carvings in it, which might hint to the purpose or where the actual circle is and what it does, and various things. So good for number dos. And then let's see if we can get the third one here. 3. So this is this one here, the edge, or not down to the edge, but the last part's kind of bordering the hills. Not that that necessarily means anything in terms of what will be there. I'm just going to scroll around. Now, I'm not rolling dice for these. I'm just kind of seeing what inspires me and going. Of course, if you want something and you want to roll dice, you absolutely can do that. And of course, you can have stuff connect between hexes. So I was just thinking about here we had that, not so much the hamlet, but we have this field here, whatever. Maybe we can connect these two. Maybe this, excuse me, this overgrown paved footpath that leads into the field of Areolis, maybe it actually winds and there was some sort of old temple here somewhere. So I will go, and I just was looking at this temple generator. See, is it a pyramid? Terraced, maybe what would it look like? Well, I kind of like the fact that it's a mound. It's a mound temple, and then maybe that's how it's overgrown. It's kind of mixed in. So we'll go a mound. That'll be the secret, though, not the known thing. All right, so we need the known thing. Landmark. Secret is the mound temple. And now here's the great thing is I've already got one of the clues, which is the overgrown paved footpath. Why did you put it all as one word? Connecting mound to, let's see, call it GV2. Oh, let's see. Laura says that dream temples were used for healing historically. That's interesting. I did not know that. Maybe we'll dreams healing ? What would the landmark be here, though? We need something. What would be? We did flowers over there. Let's see. What do we got here? Fauna. Whoa. Oh, good old charts. Is this the end of the book? Did I make it to the end? I did. Go back. I like how this has got somebody tape over this. And by the way, this is the PDF that you get from DriveThru. This is not a gray market PDF. This is actually the version of the document that they uploaded to DriveThru to purchase. Could have maybe cleaned it up a bit more, but they didn't. So there it is. Fauna. So we could or we could get a layer going here. Why don't we get a layer? What kind of shoot? Now I'm ruining the fact that I don't have a monster manual in front of me because do I have? Wait a minute. I have my expert. I have my VX, so actually I do have a monster manual. Are those flowers poisonous? Golden, really? Not goldenrods, but what are they? I already forgotten the name. So I'll have to search it out. But gladiolus are poisonous. That actually is excellent. I like that. Okay, so looking at the expert, I'm going to look and see what we get for wilderness encounters. So here are our choices. This is plains, or would be grasslands. So our choices for encounters are men, a flyer, humanoids, animal, unusual, dragon, or insect. I'm just gonna, you know what? I don't have a preference. It's all good to me. So I'm gonna roll. Let the dice decide. I got 5, so it is an animal. And I might do it again if I feel like the animal doesn't really have a layer, because I want this to be. We'll see what I get. I'm not gonna judge it before I actually roll it. No, it's a 10-sided die. What do I need? Oh, I need a 12. No, yes I do. 11. Rattler snakes, rattle snakes. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for me, brother. Let's see. Let's go to what's an unusual. What do they have as unusual things? I feel like unusual is like really unusual. So, okay, those are basilisks, blink dogs, centaurs, displacer beasts, gorgons, lycanthropes, medusas, and treants. I think I'm going to do, there's a centaurs. I'm going to say there's some centaurs going on there. How many centaurs? 2 to 20. So there's a centaur herd range. Home range of a herd of a centaur herd. I don't know. Do anyone know? Redcaps is giant turkey vulture type birds. Turkey vultures are big enough. We don't need them any bigger than they already are. But I could see that having a wandering kind of encounter. I like the idea of a giant vulture types. So we got a home range of some kind of centaur herd. I don't know. I mean, I'll have to think about what would that actual, do centaurs live in homes? They just sleep out on the prairie? Does anybody know? Has anybody said anyone come up with that? So, okay, so we got the landmark, which is this, which is going to be known to locals. There's the Mound Temple, and we can decide whether or not the centaurs know of it. Maybe they're keeping it, protecting it. I'm already thinking of kind of little adventure hooks there, right? Do the centaurs, are they aware of it? Do they keep people from it? We have the clues, the overgrown. We need a couple more clues, maybe. Overgrown footpath, maybe a broken archway. Oh, and now I'll put some dancing lights over the mound on the summer solstice. Centaurs come in tribes. That's what Google search says. All right. I'll stick with herd for now, but I can see that. I'll have to figure out whether I want to go with kind of what version of centaurs. Do I want to go to just, I guess, Greek or Roman centaurs? Or maybe there's some interesting variants. I'll have to look. Tribe, herd, it's all good. All right, so what did we do? What did we do today? On the one hand, not so much, but hey, what does it say? A small step, one giant step, or small step for man, one giant step for mankind, but we're going to flip it around, right? A small step for us, but this gets me started. I'll see, depending on how my afternoon goes, I might build up on more of this as we go. So tomorrow, we're going to continue this exercise, and then maybe I'll have more. I mean, famous last words. I say, oh yeah, I'm on a roll now. I'm going to have a bunch more. And then you're going to come in tomorrow, and there's just going to be these three. However, let me just recap what we did do and sort of the method behind the madness, or if there is one. We're doing landmarks, something secret, and then some clues for each of the hexes. So 51. We've done 3, so we've got 48 left to go. I'm just starting down here in this bottom area, which is what I'm calling the Gold Valley. In area 1, we came up with there's a dry lake bed. That's the landmark. The secret is there's a ruined hamlet on the shores of that dry lake bed. And then the clues to the ruined hamlet are you might come across some old fenching, say from some pasturage. There's an overgrown cart track that leads to the hamlet, probably going around the lake bed. And then there also is a dry stream bed that probably leads. And then there's an abandoned skiff. Maybe it's sitting on the dry stream bed. So I don't think the dry stream bed is necessarily a clue for the hamlet so much it is a sign of the lake. But either way, we've got that. And then some ideas we had is maybe there was some clay folk of some kind there that got all dried up and need to be have water added to them to bring them back, or in addition to, or it could be some kind of terror that has been trapped underneath the lake because it's dried up. I really like that second idea. I have to work definitely. I mean, I like them both, but that idea of maybe you want to do something good and get the lake full of water again, and then doing so unleashes some giant apocalypse toad is grand. Redcap says you move the mountain one pebble at a time. Absolutely. Then for our second hex we did right down here, the landmark is a field of gladiolus flowers, which we've been informed are poisonous, which actually is good because this has got this weird dream thing going on. So I like that concept of the poisonous flowers, but there's this kind of dream circle that's hidden kind of maybe in the center of this field. There, the clues to that circle of dreams are a standing stone that maybe has some carvings on it, some kind of offering bowl, maybe for making offerings, maybe to help you with the poison. Because I think knowing that they're poisonous, I'll probably amp it up and make it some kind of magical effect with the poison. So maybe making an offering in the bowl will help you navigate or stop the poison maybe from affecting you. And there's also an overgrown paved footpath. Now that paved footpath, if you follow it one direction, will take you to the circle of dreams. If you go take it the other direction, it will take you on an alternate way into our third hex, of whose landmark there is a home. It's the home range of a centaur herd. And then knowing that, I would probably have centaurs as random encounters or wandering monsters in all of these hexes because they're wandering around. And it's potentially the centaurs know a lot of what's going on. So if you make friends with them, potentially you can get some of these other secrets or things that they know about from dealing with them, bargaining with them, whatever. But that's where they live mostly. There's a mound temple there that's connected to the Circle of Dreams thing. Maybe it's for healing. Probably there's a shared dream element there. And the clues to get there, there's that overgrown paved footpath. There is a broken archway that was probably leading into the major. So that, if you had to say a temple complex in which the mound was centered, there's some kind of archway there that was maybe part of a wall or some kind of ceremonial thing that's broken, but the pieces are, some of the pieces are still there. And then on the summer solstice, you'll see, if you're there in the summer solstice, you'll see lights dancing on the top of the mound. Whew. All right. Catherine says, we're glad we did this today. I'm finally writing a little bit here in my weird fancy. Awesome. Laura says, don't eat or smoke them in real life for sure. Good to know. I will definitely have to search that up. Thanks, Laura, for that's awesome. I'm sure that was purposeful in the Judges Guild to put stuff that was interesting or poisonous. So there we go. So we got 3 hexes, which seems like a little, but actually it's a lot. I mean, if I could do 3 hexes a day, it would take me a couple of weeks, but I would, in short order, and as like Redcap says, you move a mountain one pebble at a time and just get a few done. Don't be daunted by the amount that you have. I probably shouldn't be saying like, oh, we've only got 1 of 50, right? Don't worry about that. Just keep doing them out. Maybe I'll do a couple more tonight when I have some moments, and then we'll just keep going and going, and we'll see where we stand at the end of the week. But thanks a bunch for hanging out. I hope this is useful. I mean, certainly having the feedback and stuff was useful for me. Hopefully it was useful for you. Feel free to ask me questions, drop them in here. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll keep on chatting. If you want to give a thumbs up to this, that'll be awesome. If you found yourself in here and you kind of thought this was fun, then if you subscribe, you'll just get more of this kind of stuff. But that's all I got for now. I shall return. Good luck with all your projects, whatever they may be. Hashtag Dungeon23, hashtag City23, Hex23, my own hashtag FinishIt23. Game on, everybody. and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.